When's the best time to become an entrepreneur? Do it when you find something that is so compelling, you'll get up every single morning, even if it's going to be the crappiest day on earth, and you're ready to face it because you're so excited about what you're doing.
Welcome back. Today we're speaking with James Larsen. So James is the CEO of E-Zinc. So they have 60 employees. James, they've raised over $80 million and they've actually created the world's first 24-hour duration zinc battery. So we're going to be getting into the growth, the scaling, and James's background on how he's leading this phenomenal company. And they're situated in Mississauga, and really looking forward to the conversation here. James, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. Looking forward to it.
Well, James, why don't we get a little bit about your background? Like, were you just born an entrepreneur, or was that something that you were, we'll say, you grew into?
A bit of both, right? I think there's a natural entrepreneurial spirit that people would have, and I definitely exhibited that at an early age, trying a variety of different little ventures as an adolescent and whatnot. But absolutely, it is really flourished sort of in this last part of my career for sure. But I could tell, like, even in high school, as I was thinking about like what my career path was going to be, I really wanted to lead a clean tech company.
hmm So tell me a little bit about, you come out of school. Like, did you go right into business, or did you start somewhere? Maybe give us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, so it actually starts in childhood, because I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, and my family has a summer place on the Sunshine Coast. And this place is basically glorified camping. Like, there's no running water, there's no electricity, and so my entire summers were spent ensconced in nature. And when you have that type of experience, you grow a really deep and profound respect and appreciation for nature. And as I was just talking about, I had that entrepreneurial flair, and I could really see that, okay, I want to point my ship in the direction of leading something in the sustainability field. I didn't know what it was going to be, but that was the North Star. And so that really helped guide a lot of the decisions along the way. Because when I was looking at my degree, I naturally sort of had an affinity for business, but also the technology side of things. And you can do an engineering degree and an MBA, but not vice versa. And so I went into engineering, and when I graduated, I picked the technology that was hottest at the time, which was fuel cells, if you'll recall, about 20 years ago. So I worked in the hydrogen fuel cell space for a couple of years. Then I switched. I moved into EPC, design build, doing large scale projects. And then once I got my professional designation, that's when I decided to pivot into the business side of things. So I did my MBA and then worked at Bain& Company, doing management consulting. And then at that point, I was like, okay, I've got the technical and business skills. I'm ready to go find this thing. And I spent about 8 months searching, talking to all sorts of different entrepreneurs with some pretty crazy ideas out there, trying to look for co-founders or people with innovators that had interesting technologies that I could commercialize. And after about 8 months, I realized that it was going to require a lot more patience than 8 months. And so I started a new role where I was doing consulting for utilities around North and South America on energy transition strategy. And what was really interesting is that the majority of those projects ended up having uh, either a focus in or at least a partial focus on energy storage. And so I ended up going really deep into this field, and it was so obvious that this was just going to be a huge industry. And specifically, as I went deeper, I noticed that there was this white space where we were going to need something to complement lithium ion. So lithium ion being a short duration form of technology, we needed something long duration, something like pumped hydro, but at a modular level that we could deploy anywhere. And as I was going through that process, serendipity stepped in, and a person in my network introduced me to the founder of E-Zinc. And here in my backyard was this technology focused on long duration storage. So, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's That's a pretty cool that you had that vision and you just kept working and building up all the skill sets to be able to step into your current role, right? It's like, it's interesting. When I was younger, I had this dream of playing hockey over in Europe. And I remember sitting there on the airplane flying over to Europe. I was like 2021. I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, this dream is actually coming
Yeah.
true. It sounds like your dream came true. That you just kept working and building the skill sets, just like me. I was out taking hockey shots every day and doing all the extra mile stuff. That's what you did, but you've accomplished that goal.
You said something really important there, which is building the skill sets. I always looked at it that way. I knew that it was going to require a lot of time, and it
Yeah.
was all just about building capabilities along the way. And what's interesting is at the time, Mark, I actually felt like my path was going like this. It felt
Mm,
very meandering. But as Steve Jobs says, you can always connect the dots looking backwards.
yeah.
And I can really string it together and tell a nice little narrative about how it all connects. But it didn't feel like that at the time. But
Mm,
you have to sort of have faith in the process that if you've got this North Star, you'll get there.
that's so good. I mean, so the entrepreneurs that are out there, like if they're when they're going through that, I think that's really encouraging that that you it may not feel like you're making progress towards it, but as long as you're continuing to move. Is there any like insight now looking back that maybe you would have done something a little different, or maybe you did something that was really important that you did to be able to encourage the entrepreneurs out there that are going through that maybe they can connect the dots a little bit sooner.
I'm so glad you asked that question. Not a lot of these types of opportunities provide the space to talk about this, and I actually think that this is very important because I often get asked the question from young mentees or whatnot, or people who are interested in the journey. If you had found E-Zinc right after Bain, would you have joined? Or right after your MBA, would you have taken the opportunity? And the answer is a genuine no. And the reason is because I truly can actually connect the dots. So let me just give you a snapshot of this. So first of all, look at the fuel cell experience. So that was in sort of a research and design capacity, directly relevant to what I do today. Now I have the experience to be able to connect with my young engineers and understand and empathize the work that they're going through. On the EPC side of things, so this is a really ironic one, and why it felt meandering is I joined this EPC firm under the pretense that I was going to be working their burgeoning renewable energy practice. Well, what happened was my first project was a mining project. My second project was a mining project. And maybe I was too good at the project. So my third was a mining project. And I wasn't working in renewable energy. And I was feeling, oh my gosh, I'm so far off my path. However, the work that we do at E-Zinc now has a huge component of EPC to it. And it doesn't matter that these were mining projects. I understand how that whole part of the value chain works. And interestingly, here's the kicker, is that mining operations are one of our major customer segments. Then you look at the experience at Bain and Company. Again, and if you'll indulge me here, I was really looking for a renewable energy company at that time, and every company I talked to was like, "It's great that you have an engineering degree and some experience, and it's great that you have an MBA, but you have no business experience." I was like, "Well, that's a catch-22. Like, how am I supposed to get the experience unless you hire me?" So during that process, one of the most interesting classes that I took was the strategy class, and I remember going to the professor and saying, "How do I do this as a career? This is so interesting." And he said,
Yeah.
"Oh, just be a management consultant." And I was like, "What the heck's a management consultant?" And I looked into it, and it was perfect. But here's the thing: I joined. None of the projects were related to renewable energy or clean tech. I was doing pricing strategy for a financial services company and private equity diligence and customer experience strategy. But again, all of that relates to what I do now. All of that strategic work is really industry agnostic, and so really teed me up well. And then here's the real kicker is the time of building that business, that consulting business, where I was working with utilities. I did that out of a group called Mars. Mars is North America's largest startup incubator and innovation hub. And I was doing it out of there because I wanted to have purview to the startup landscape. I felt like I was going to give myself a platform to get the most amount of exposure. And if I felt like I was going to find this opportunity, I would need to be at a place like that. And I ended up getting connected to venture capital funds, grant agencies, different government bodies. And without a doubt, when I joined E-Zinc, like had I not had that, the company would not be at this stage today. It necessitated all of those networks and connections. In fact, the very first investor that committed to us, that got us off the ground, was a connection through that very organization. So this is what I mean about the dots connecting, and you just have to trust in the process. And it can really feel like you're going off the path, but you gotta trust in the process.
Are there any other core lessons from all of that? And when you look back, so trust in the process. Is there anything else that you learned along the way? Is like I'm sure you hit a lot of walls along the way, and you just kept moving. Was there anything else there that you can share?
So patience is a huge one, right? One of my MBA professors gave me the best advice, not the best, but one of the best pieces of advice ever. Because I was sitting in that chair, I was 30 years old going, oh gosh, like I really want to be an entrepreneur. I want this, I want this, I want this. And I raised my hand and I said, when's the best time to become an entrepreneur? Thinking that his answer was going to be the quintessential, do it when you're young, when you don't have a mortgage and you don't have kids
Mm,
and stuff like that. And he didn't say that. He said, do it when you find something that is so compelling, you'll get up every single morning, even if it's going to be the crappiest day on earth, and you're ready to face it because you're so excited about what you're doing. And I just was blown away by that. And I took a step back and I said, okay, I don't need to find this right away, you know? And then he followed up by saying, I didn't find my business until I was 35. And then, here I am. And that really just gave me the comfort, like, okay, trust the process, be patient, and allow this to organically unfold.
Oh man, I'm so glad I asked that second question. That is such gold there, the patience side of it, and that's such great counsel as well. Because like if you really believe when you launch a business as an entrepreneur, the number one thing is you got to get out and sell. And if you believe in it, you're already halfway there. I tell all of our sales team, it's like if you believe in what you're selling, you're going to be more enthusiastic and
Absolutely.
excited, and and it
Absolutely.
transference of like enthusiasm is what selling really is. So
100%.
that you got that feedback, man, like that was like gold at that time. With social media now, when people see all these millionaires, and it's like they did not see the decades and decades of hard work. Like the big Titan companies, they took decades to build them, and it was just maniacal focus year after year, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you used a really good word. So the tenacity, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you just can't ever give up. You just have to keep going, keep going, keep going. Figure out a way to just blast through the wall, blast through the wall. A a peer of mine had a really interesting story. He had a real existential crisis with his business where he looked like it was just right at the end. And he phoned up one of his advisors and he explained the situation. And his advisor was like, "Is that it?" And he
Yeah.
said, "Yeah." And he said, "Call me when you're on existential crisis number 19." He put down the phone. He goes, "Okay, okay, I got it. Just push through. You just face these moments, and you know, can't give up."
Yeah, that's so good. And it's interesting that you say that, because when I first started, there was like all these like massive like emergencies, and then you realize like a couple years later when you handle them over and over and over, they're not that big of a problem. I look back, the stuff I'm dealing with now compared to the stuff at the very beginning, you've just grown as a person. So I think calling the advisor, that was wise to do
Yeah.
that, to get insight or perspective from
Well,
somebody else, right?
well, may I share with you my big one?
Yeah, please shoot.
So August 2021, I'd been running the company for 3 years, and I was like really needing a break, and so I took my first 2-week holiday, and I said I'm going to turn off my email. People can phone or text me if it's an emergency, but I'm not going to check my email. I went on the holiday, and I got a phone call 1 week into the holiday from the chair of my board, and he said, unfortunately, Greg has passed away. So the founder passed away, which was heartbreaking, and obviously I had to deal with that in that moment, but for the company. And then I managed to get back into the holiday somewhat, and then finished the next week. And on the last day of my holiday, I woke up and turned on my phone and had voicemails from my landlord, the CFO, the fire department, the police department, to find out that our battery lab burned down.
Oh, wow.
So I flew home, and my first day back from this 2 week holiday, in the morning I went to my founder's funeral, and in the afternoon I saw ground zero of my company. And so in that moment, I said, okay, this is it. This is the low. It can't be worse than this. So you learn from these types of moments that you just have to let it be water off a duck's back. And uh, in fact, actually, I keep this on my desk, which is pictures of some of the facility that were totally burnt up, and the classic meme of this doggy saying, "This is fine."
James, what helped you when you were at that low of low? What helped you have that perspective to say, you know what, okay, this is the low, and I'm going to keep moving on here? Or was there any counsel? Like, some people, they would just freak out. But is that just part of your nature, or was there anything you did to kind of help you deal with that stress at that low?
I think I think it is two things. I think it's important to acknowledge that that you do have to kind of have that as part of your nature to be a calm and measured person, um, and not take the highs too high. Then you won't take the lows too low. So I think that that is fundamentally important thing, and I stress that when people are talking about thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, that you kind of have to go in eyes wide open. But at the same time, I think there are some other elements for sure. I mean, support network, my wife, the board, our team was unbelievable. How the team rallied, how we came together. I mean, we had PhDs wearing hazmat suits because we couldn't afford to have others come and do it. So we were going in there and cleaning out the place, looking through the rubble to find what we could salvage. You know, and that's not part of their. That's not why they're on payroll, but people were doing it because of the belief in the mission and what we were trying to do as a company. And so, you know, when you have that sort of, you know, deep sense of commitment, I think that really helped you get through. Kind of circles back to what we were talking about, right? That inner passion.
Can you elaborate on how important a mission driven company is? Like, when entrepreneurs are starting, or maybe they're in a business and there's no clear mission, how important is that? I mean, obviously that's why you have the PhDs. They believed in what you were doing. Was that intentional that you guys had, like, something? Is it a written statement that you have, like, and how did you, like, breathe that into the company so that you had that kind of support going after something bigger?
First of all, absolutely. And our vision is access to affordable, reliable, and clean energy for all. So we absolutely have one. We all know it. And we also have a set of values. And this was a process that was going to be very important to me. Interestingly, this was a point of contention between my founder and me when I first joined. He was really set on me keeping focused, and I said, no, but this is important to set the foundation of what we're doing.
Mhm.
Anyways, if you'll allow me, I'd love to just tell you about the process that we
Yeah.
went through, because it's actually, I think, a really, really good process. So I had my leadership team. I said, everyone think of three people. They could be living, you know, from history. They could be family. They could be famous. It doesn't matter. Three people that you really, really admire. And it doesn't matter why you admire them, but what matters is write down all of their characteristics, everything that you would characterize them as. And then I had everyone put those names and around the whiteboards around the room and talk through all the different characteristics. And then we started circling the ones that really rose to the top as the most important, and where we saw common themes across all the different people. And then we started pulling out words, and then that's how we captured our main core values. Um, so team, results, mastery, um, value. So those were that was the exercise. And then for the vision statement, we also started talking through, okay, like what is it in general sense that we're trying to achieve as a company. And we did the same sort of thing where we like put a whole bunch of words on a page, and then we started like pulling out those words and formulating them into that core vision statement. And the reason I emphasize the process is because it was a collective thing. It wasn't just like the CEO puts a stake in the ground and says, this is what we're doing. It was something that we as a leadership team would all buy into. And it set the course for the company. In fact, our head of HR, I remember when she joined the company, I was asking her why she joined the company, and she said, because I went to your website and I saw the values. And she said
Mm.
they really resonated with me. And she's one of the best people we have here, and that's how it helps us ensure that we're hiring a level of consistency of character at our company.
Love that. Oh, it's so good. And I totally agree with the values, especially as you start to grow and scale so that there's consistency in the decision making.
Hmm.
It's interesting, James. I was speaking with another entrepreneur and he was talking about values, and we were talking about how you can bring them alive once you have them. And he's like, yeah, we have Iron Man for this value and that value. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's such a great idea. And so then what I ended up doing was I'm like, okay, let's bring that together. And so take a look. Can you see that?
Yeah.
If you're
Oh, this is
listening to
awesome.
that. Yeah. So this is where we then ingrained it on in our business.
Love
Uh,
this.
yeah. So then, this is something that you bring it to life every which way. You try to be creative with it, and well-known characters. So if you're listening and you're not watching YouTube, you got like Maria is our love value. Rocky is on fire. Mr. Miyagi's excellence. Simba's growth, innovation is Tony Stark, and then you have Tinkerbell as the wow. That's the Faris team brokerage, and then the real estate investment side. We're going through that right now, but these are like examples of
I
uh,
love it, Mark.
yeah, so it's like the values. I'm like hardcore on that because as we grew in scale, we realized that it was starting to not feel good, and you can't like it's like, oh, it's getting kind of big, but the values allowed us to grow and scale and help people make good decisions because you can't have this big rule book, do this and do that. And I love the process that you went through as well. You must have that was something that was very smart and wise. And it's interesting, probably James, once you nailed the values down, it felt like to me it's like a lock that's like finally it's like click click click, like those bike locks where
Yeah.
it's like you're
Yeah.
not, and then when it clicks it's just like and you're like,
Yeah.
that's it. And
Yeah.
right, and you get
Totally.
really excited. And then but this is like key is that the leader needs to be like 100%, like it needs to reflect, and they need to be excited, because if the key leader is not on board with these values, then they're not going to express. And it's like the leader's job is to chant it and reinforce it and bring it to life. So when you were talking about it, I could see you were lit up with it.
Yeah.
So you've done that.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you for sure.
Yeah, very cool. I love it. So you talked earlier about strategy. The strategy course is one of the best things that you did when you were younger. Was there any other like core ideas or a kind of a key nugget that you took out of that course for? I mean, strategy is such an important part as an entrepreneur. Is there anything that kind of resonates? I know it was a while ago um, that you took away from that course.
Specifically on the strategy course, or
Yeah, yeah.
uh, so yeah, there was actually a couple of things.
That's
The
a flash. That's a while ago as well. I'm
No,
kind of
no,
I'm
no, but
grasping there.
the professors at Ivy were really really incredible, and there was uh this is a specific thing, but like this is just an example because I could actually say a lot of things, but I want to give you an example. The professor came in and he gave us all keyboards, and he said, okay, like break into groups and who figure out who the fastest typer is. So we all competed to figure out who the fastest typer was, and then someone raised their hand. They were like, okay, we had the fastest in each group. And they said, okay, and what are the words per minute? We did a test to see how fast everyone was. He said, okay. And then he brought in or he put an overlay on it that was the original keyboard, because now we're using the QWERTY, right? But then he brought in the original keyboard from the typewriter days in the past. And he said, now go. And everyone just struggled so much. And the words per minute were just atrocious. It was like people were less than 10% of what they were originally able to do. And he said, isn't that interesting? The exact same toolkit, you're still using a keyboard. It's just in a different order, and for some reason you're like way less capable. And so he drew the parallel. He said, look, like things can seem as if you have the right capabilities. Like if you're in a business, you've got a particular type of a manufacturing line or a particular type of workforce that has skills and capabilities in this particular area. But then you try and translate that to something that seems adjacent, and you realize that it's not adjacent at all, and you're going to trip and fall on your face. So that was a potent lesson from that particular class. So there was a lot of really good
So
lessons
good.
of that nature that really sort of stuck with me.
That's so good. 100%. That perspective is so good. I mean, yeah. There's a lot there. And, I went to this.
'Cause- oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Finish that thought.
No, I was just gonna say because it's so natural for business when you're in business to think, ooh, like to chase the shiny objects and to think, oh, okay, maybe I can go do this or I can go do this. But you got to like really think like there was a thesis at Bain Company called profit from the core. Like be really really focused on your core, and
Mm,
then slowly think about like how you're going to branch out in a very logical and methodical way. Because even if something seems like, oh, it's just we've got the capabilities, it might not be that way. So.
easy. Yeah, that's good. Uh, I've heard Alex Ramosi. I'm not sure if you've seen him or heard of any. He's like a kind of a large entrepreneur kind of. Anyways, he said that it's like chasing the lady with the red dress. It's like we as entrepreneurs, we see all this like, was it shiny product or service or shiny syndrome? It's like you see
Any part.
something, an opportunity, and
Yeah.
it's like you want to go chase it. But it's like stay focused on the core business. And I think once you grow the core business to a certain level, then you can maybe spin off maybe one. But you got to build the team around doing
Mm,
that other one, but only after you hit a certain amount of scale. Because I think so many times as you're drilling like all these oil wells and you're not going deep on the one, and you're going to do better by just staying with the one, but it doesn't seem like that. You
yeah,
want to
yeah,
start
yeah,
five
totally.
businesses, right?
Totally. We have a number of things here at E-Zinc, so play all these, and this one is for man who chases two rabbits catches neither.
Oh, so good. Yeah, that's so good. Good reminder for us all. I like how you have the reminders up in your desk so that it gives you perspective when you need it, right? It probably helps with your emotions and keeping focused as well. Okay, so now you guys have raised 80 million. Do you have any insights on raising capital that you guys have done? Like, how have you been successful on accomplishing that number?
I'm really glad you asked this question. It's particularly because we just talked about strategy, and it raising money. You would think, okay, let's be highly strategic about this. And look, to each their own. This is my experience, but
Yeah,
my experience is that it doesn't actually pay to be strategic. This is the type of occasion that pays to be opportunistic. You've got to just go for it, and take every connection, every possible avenue you can, because you don't know where the money's going to come from. So let me give you the perfect example of this. So when I started raising my very first round of capital, um, I was doing everything. I was doing pitch competitions and reaching out to everyone in my network. And my founder was really he was a classic mad scientist. He just felt like we should be holed up in our little lab and working on the technology until we were ready to do an article in the New York Times or something. Um, and anyways, so I was out there doing pitch competitions, and there's this one particular pitch competition we did, and it was in Boston, and we won the competition, and that was great. But interestingly, no one came up to me after the event. I remember flying home being like, huh, I was really hoping that, that more would come from that. Anyways, One of the other things I did was I joined the Bain alumni entrepreneur list or community, and I literally emailed every single member on that list. There was over 1,000 members, and I got 3 replies. And one of the replies gave me an intro to someone in California, who gave me an intro to someone in Boston, who then said, you should really talk to this woman at this fund. I don't really know her that well, but I do have her email. Here, just email her.
Mm.
Emailed her, and she said, I'm willing to meet with you. I took my phone call. She ended up being our lead investor of the round. And she told me, I said, why did you answer to my email? She said, I saw you in that pitch competition that you won.
So good how that all, but you had to actually make the phone call for her to actually invest.
Exactly, exactly. And it took me going through a list of 1,000 people to get 3 replies to get an intro to someone who introduced me to someone else who gave me an email address without a warm intro.
Did you ask her why didn't she take action when she saw you immediately, like at that pitch competition, or did she just get busy, or like what do you
She
think that was?
she said she was interested. She the other thing that this is a kind of a proud thing. She said she looks at over like somewhere between 800 and 1,000 deals a year, and their fund was called Energy Foundry. It's focused on energy, and they had never made a bet on energy storage. They never invested in a single energy storage company. They had looked at hundreds. And she said, so they were very, very patient with their approach to energy storage. They were very cautious. And so, yeah, they saw the pitch competition and it was interesting, and we won. And okay, that's a good data point, but let's see where that leads. And I guess she was impressed with the fact that, you know, um, the initiative.
Massive action, lots of conversations. You never know where the business is coming from. So on our second business, we've raised about 70 million now, and what that's exactly my experience on the we go and buy these multifamily buildings. And so some of the investors I'll meet, and I'm like they're like super down to earth. They're driving, that you would never guess, but they're like they it just connects and resonates with them, and you just never know but that's exactly my experience. But the way that you connected, oh, that story was so good. You did the pitch, you took massive action, and then it
It
like
also,
I look back on multiple investors, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's like very good encouragement.
yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
you're not going to do it locked in your lab. You got to get out there.
No. And if I may add something to the audience here, um, there are investors that I spoke with that I had such amazing conversations with. We talked for months. Everything was going the right direction. I was so bullish on them. I thought it was a lock.
Yeah.
Never happened. And there's other investors that came out of nowhere. We had one conversation, they were in. So you just don't know. You
Yeah,
just don't know.
it's so true because that's where like until the funds are in the bank, that does not you don't have. It's like I got X amount of committed. It's like, is it in the bank? It's like no, but they said that they're good. It's like,
Well, so
is
Mark,
that
I
your
got
experience?
I got that story too, my friend.
Yeah.
Um, so interestingly, that very same round of capital, that investor was not actually our lead investor initially. They had said, we were interested in investing and provided a term sheet, but um, another investor had given us a different term sheet, and we actually went forward with that. And the energy fund was going to join and just be part of it. Um, and we got all the way to the 3 days before closing. All of the ink was done.
Oh,
Like so all the red lines, all the documents were agreed to. We were done, and the close date was Friday, and this was a Tuesday. And I got a phone call from the fund saying that they were out.
oh man, what'd you
And
do?
they were the
Would you,
lead investor. Unfortunately, it was for a reason I can't disclose the details, but
sure.
it was for a reason that it really it was quite unfair, and it really speaks highly of Energy Foundry because they said, "Fine, we'll take the lead position. We really like you guys. We believe in you," and this is yet another lesson. You got to be so careful on who you bring into your cap table because it is a marriage. I mean, this fund has been backing us for 6 years now, and it's been nothing but collaborative and supportive and a true partnership. And had we gone with that other investor, now that I know, the difficulty that they presented to us, that would have been terrible for us. So, fate sort of stuck its hand in there and helped us out. But it's a lesson for the other entrepreneurs raising capital out there. Be super careful about who you partner with.
Oh, it's so good. When you're getting married, like I would say probably one of your most important decisions is who you marry. But like right behind that is like who your partner is. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of meet somebody at a conference and they're like, yeah, you like me, I like you, and we're excited and let's go into business together. But unraveling a business when you go into a partnership where it's not working out is like a horrible experience. Like it can really do a number on you. So be careful who you partner with.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. Go on a few dates first and just like take it slow.
Yeah,
Right. Okay, cool. So I have I could keep talking to you. There's lots more we could go into, but I want to respect your time here. James, I have three last rapid fire questions and they're going to wrap up. You ready?
sure.
All right. So I'm a big reader. I love reading books. I'm curious for you, which book has had the biggest impact in your career?
Ooh, on my career.
Yeah, yeah. You can even open it up to anything. We'll say anything. Your favorite book that's
So,
made the biggest
so I'm
impact.
going to cheat. I'm going to give you two answers because you did ask for career, but I wanted to also tell you about my favorite book.
Please.
So I think the biggest for the career is the Five Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni. So it's now called the Five Functions. It is foundational reading for understanding how to build an all-star team. But I also have to just share my favorite book, The Tao of Physics, because it by Fritjof Capra. It's a book that was like pivotal and monumental in my life. It explores the parallels between modern science or quantum mechanics and Eastern mysticism, and that these things that we've always seen oppose one another, religion and science, are actually saying the same thing when you look deeper. So
All right. Awesome. Second question. People that know you best, three words that they would use to best describe you. What would they be?
it's funny that we talked about this earlier, but enthusiastic for sure,
Yeah.
kind, strong.
All right. And final question. What final advice would you have for the entrepreneurs that are out there listening? Any advice at all that will maybe help them get their business to the next level?
I think I just need to re-emphasize something that I already said, just because it is so critical, which is tenacity.
Hmm.
You just are going to face all sorts of challenges that are foreseeable, unforeseeable. They come at during great times and they come at worse times and make the lows even lower. You just never know. They can be huge, they can be small, but you just have to absolutely have this bulldog mentality that you can get through it. And the code of the entrepreneur is just to never give up.
Hmm. So good. James, really appreciate you. What's the best way they can learn a little bit more about their company, the listeners?
Yeah, so our website probably for sure. So www.e-zinc.ca. Or read some of the press releases. Follow us. Yeah, there's lots of ways to keep in touch. And for those that are in Ontario, happy to host tours here. Come out and visit our actual facility.
Amazing. James, congratulations on your success and really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Right on. And thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And just remember that the fastest way to grow your wealth is to build your business and invest in real estate. I love you guys.